Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make these little button-up cardigans here, toddler size. So these are the exact same, made with the exact same pattern, only using a different size hook. So you can clearly see the size difference there by changing the hook made. My daughter Evelyn, she picked out the yarn and the buttons for hers. And then the other one is for my son, Eli. Now this one, they're going to be available for this will be for if your child wears a size 5'6", a 5 or a 6, and this one is for size 3-4. So those are the only sizes I have at the moment. I don't know if changing the hook size anymore will work. I mean, that's something you can definitely try, but for me, I only did these. I only tried it with these two. But as you can see, it's button up. It's got a little bit of a V here. It's real easy. It's not sewn on the sides. It's one solid piece other than the sleeves and the hood. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, for this project, for the red sweater, my daughter's, I used Loops and Thread Madrid. This comes from Michaels. It's a 100% acrylic and it's a bulky number 5. Okay, so that's what I used for the red one. Now, if you use a smaller size, I used about 600 yards for that small, 650 probably, for that smaller sweater. It took me almost 2 of these. Okay, and the color that I used is called a raspberry. If you don't have this, any bulky 5 will work. One that's very similar though to this is Michael's Barcelona yarn. And then for Eli's, the boy sweater, I used Red Heart Colorscape. It's a 100% acrylic too. It says it's a 4-weight. I consider it a bulky 5. I would not use a 4-weight for this project. I would use a bulky 5. Like this. I mean, you couldn't use like a really super thick bulky 5, but just a normal bulky 5 is what I would recommend for both these sweaters, because that's what I used. The color of this I used is called Bangkok, and there are 187 yards, and this is what I have left of 4, so it's going to be about 700 yards for the bigger size sweater, maybe a little bit over, something like that. But remember, whatever yarn you choose, make sure it's just a normal size bulky 5, not a super thick bulky 5, because some of them can be kind of thick. Just a regular bulky 5, that's what you need to use. I don't know if I can't tell you about if you use a 4-ply or a 4-weight, if it's going to be smaller or not. I'm sure it'll be smaller. I don't know what size it'll fit. I have no idea. Okay, but if you're going to be using, if you want to do the red sweater like I did for a size 3-4, you want to use an H, which is a 5mm, same pattern. You just use a 5mm for size 2-3. And if you want to do the 5-6, Toddler 5-6, you use a J, which is a 6mm. Same pattern. So remember, those are the only 2 sizes that I have available. You can play around with it, trying to adjust the hook sizes. I don't know if you go bigger. I'm sure it'll make a bigger sweater. You might have to make the arms longer. I don't really know. But, I mean, you can always try to play around with that. If you do, let me know. And if you make it bigger or smaller, let me know what hook you used. And if you used less rows or anything, I'd really like to know. But to follow along with me, the exact same pattern that I do in the video, size 3-4, 5mm, size 5-6, 6mm. And remember, you need to use a bulky number 5. And then you're going to need 5 buttons too, any type of buttons. I use those teddy bear buttons, which is what Evelyn picked out. And then these buttons, I believe, are 3/4 inch buttons. So, if you want to know about what size to use. I think these are a little bit bigger. Well, these might be 3/4 inch to 1 inch, but they're a little bigger. But just around that size for the buttons, 5 of them. Okay, you want to start out with a chain of 56. And once you get your chain of 56 made, you want to do a double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. Now remember, we never count the stitch that's on our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Double crochet into that 4th stitch. And now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. So just like that. 1 double every stitch until you get to the end of the row. Okay, once you make it to the end of row 1, you should have a total of 54 stitches, and that includes this little chain here on the end. He counts as a stitch. So counting him, you should have a total of 54. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It does not count as anything. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. And then I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. 1 in the next 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now the next stitch we're going to make kind of like a point of the top. So what we're going to do is, or of the sweater, we're going to put into the next stitch 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochet. So into the next stitch, all into the same stitch, it's 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets. And this is kind of the increase points. This is how the sweater is going to get bigger every row at these points that we're making. Now I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next 14 stitches. So go ahead and put 1 double crochet into the next, and 1 in every stitch until you have 14 total. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I've got 14 stitches I did in a row. Now I'm going to make another point here onto the next stitch. So I'm going to go right into the next stitch and I'm going to work 2 double crochets, a chain of 1, and 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. Just like that. And now again, I'm going to work 1 double crochet into the next 14 stitches. There's 1, 2, okay, I did 14 stitches again. So in the next stitch, we're going to put another point. So into the next stitch, you're going to work 2 doubles, a chain 1, and 2 doubles into the same stitch. Again, 1 double crochet into the next 14 stitches. Okay, I just did my 14 stitches again. Now the next stitch, we're going to put another point. So we're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets. Now you should have 4 stitches left, counting this little chain here on the end. Go ahead and put 1 double crochet into the next 3. And then in the last stitch, that little chain there, put 2 double crochets right there on top of it. 2 double crochets on that last stitch. That will end row 2. And you should have a total of 68 stitches now. And this is what it starts to look like. As you can see, if you put it together, this will be the back. The sides and the front has a slight V. So it starts smaller and we'll gradually make it bigger where it'll come together. So, row 3, we will chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're just going to put 1 double crochet into the very first stitch. And 1 double crochet into every stitch until you get to your first chain space. And then when you get to your chain space, we'll go ahead and put our point in it. So we'll go ahead and right into the space and we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain of 1, and 2 more double crochets, all into that same chain space. And now we're going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to your next chain space. And remember, this is kind of, sometimes these stitches hide your first stitch. Kind of pull them back a little bit. That way you don't miss that first stitch there. Because if you miss that, your count's not going to come out right. So go ahead and start putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to your next chain space. Okay, I've made it to my next chain space here. So again, we're just going to go right into the space and work 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets all into that space. And then again, we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to our next chain 1 space. And when we reach that, we're going to put 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. And then again, we'll put 1 double crochet in every stitch till we reach our next chain 1 space. And that's where we'll put 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. So go ahead and do that and I'll meet you right here at the last chain space. Okay, I've made it to my last chain space and I put my 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And now I want to go ahead and just put 1 double crochet in the remaining 7 stitches here. So just 1 in each of them. Now when you make it to the end of round or row 3, you should have a total of 84 stitches. So row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to start off by putting 2 double crochets into the very first stitch. And now we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to our chain 1 space. And then in the chain 1 space, we'll do our 2 double crochets, our chain 2, and our 2 double crochets, our chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. Now again, we're going to do what we did before. we're going to put 1 double crochet. Make sure you get that first stitch in every stitch until we get to our first chain 1 space. And we'll put 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to your next chain 1 space. Again, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet until you get to your last chain 1 space. You do your 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and I'll meet you right here at the last chain 1 space. Okay, I have made it to my last chain 1 space, and I did my 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. Now you should have 9 stitches that remain. Go ahead and put 1 double crochet into the last 8. And then you want to go ahead and put 2 double crochets into the last stitch. And now at the end of row 4, you should have 102 stitches. So for row 5, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're just going to put 1 double crochet into the very first stitch. 1 double crochet into every stitch until we get to our chain 1 space. Chain 1 space, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, and again we're just going to repeat what we've been doing. 1 double crochet in every stitch till we get to our chain 1 space, and that's where we work our 2 double, chain 1, 2 double, and just repeat that all the way down until you get to your last chain 1 space. Okay, I made it to my last point there. I did my 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. Now it's 1 double crochet in every stitch until the end of the row here. And when you make it to the end, you should have a total of 118 stitches now. And that'll end row 5. Row 6, chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to start off with 2 double crochets into the first stitch. So 2 in the first. And now what we're going to do is kind of repeat what we've been doing. 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to your point or your chain space. Then it's 2 double, chain 1, 2 double, 1 double crochet in every stitch till you get to your next one. 2 double, chain 1, 2 double, 1 double in every stitch to your next one. Do the same. 1 double crochet until you get to your last one and do the same. So I'm going to do that, and I'll meet you here again at the last point. Okay, I am coming. I just did my last point there in that chain 1 space. Now what I'm going to do is put 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to my last stitch. And in my last stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets into it. So 1 double in every stitch until you reach your last one. Okay, when you make it to your last stitch, put 2 double crochets into your last stitch, and now you should have a total of 136 stitches at the end of row 6. So this is what your piece should look like now. Similar. You can see it's got the little bit of the V in front. So now we have equal number of stitches between all the points. So what we're going to do now is make the armholes. So row 7 is going to be the armhole row. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every single stitch until I get to my chain space. So 1 double into the first stitch, and then 1 double in every stitch until I get to that first chain 1 space. Okay, I've made it to my first chain 1 space. Now what I want to do is just put 2 double crochets right into that space. That's it, just 2 doubles. And now I'm going to skip all these stitches here and go into the next point, kind of fold your work there. So skip all those stitches, and the next point, put 2 double crochets into that. Next point right here, 2 double crochets into that one. Just like that. And now you have your first armhole made. And I know it might look a little big to you, it might seem kind of big, but don't worry. We'll be doing some decrease on our armholes when we do those sleeves, so don't worry about that. So now we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch here across, this is the back of your sweater, across the back of the sweater until we get to our next chain 1 space, or our next point. So 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to that next point. Okay, I've made it to my next point, and what I want to do is go right into that chain 1 space and work 2 double crochets. That's it, just 2 doubles. And again, I'm going to skip all these stitches, and then I'm going to put 2 double crochets right over here into my last point. So I kind of just fold my work. It just makes it easier that way to fold it up in half. So we're skipping all these stitches, and right here into this next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets. Just like that. And now I'm going to work 1 double in every stitch till I get to the end of the row. Okay, I've made it to the end of row 7, and you should have a total now of 76 stitches. And that is counting these right here, across the armpit right there, across the back, and back around to the front. We did not count any of these stitches that we skipped. We will deal with those later. So 76 is what you should have now at the end of row 7. And what you want to do, you see this first row of double crochet that we did? You want that to be facing the wrong way. You can see mine is facing the right way. So all you have to do, if yours is facing the right way like mine, the stitches, all you gotta do is kind of flip your work. Flip your armholes like that. Around. And now you can see, now my first row of double crochet is facing the wrong way. And that's what you want. If yours already was, that's fine. I mean, you didn't do it wrong if it wasn't like mine. It just depends on which way you twisted it when you were doing your armholes. So it's no big deal. But you just want that first row of double crochet to be the wrong side of the double crochet to be showing. Okay? So now what we're going to do is pick up where we left off. And now we're just going to be doing rows of 1 double crochet in every stitch. So chain 1 and turn like this. 1 double crochet into the first stitch, and 1 double crochet into every single stitch all the way across till we get to the end of the row. So it's pretty, the base of the sweater is pretty easy from here on out. It's just 1 double crochet in every stitch, back and forth rows. And when you get here to the arm sections here that I'm getting ready to come to, you just go right across doing 1 double crochet in every stitch, so it's nothing special. Just like that. So I'm going to continue doing rows of 1 double crochet in every stitch. I'm on row 8 right now. I want to do 22 rows total. So I'm on row 8 and I want to keep going with 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to finish row 22. So all the way across I'll do 1 double crochet in every stitch, then I'll chain 1 and turn. I'll have 76 stitches at the end of every row. Chain 1 and turn, back again, 1 double crochet in every stitch. Keep going back and forth, rows, until you get to row 22. Remember, we're on row 8 now. Keep going until you get to row 22. Finish row 22 out. 76 stitches at the end of every row. Okay, I have got my 22 rows done. And I still have my 76 stitches. So now I'm going to do some single crochet rows at the bottom. But first I'm going to do a row of decreases. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. Now I want to put 1 single crochet into the first 4 stitches. So starting with this very first one, single crochet, and do 4 in a row. Then I'm going to single crochet decrease over the next 2. So I'm going to go into the next one and drop a loop. Into the next one, drop a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, and go through all 3. That's a single crochet decrease. It took 2 stitches and made it into 1. Now I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to put 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and single crochet decrease over the next 2. So go into the next stitch, drop a loop, and the next one, drop a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. Repeat it again. 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. Single crochet decrease over the next 2. So go into the next, drop a loop, and into the next, drop a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. So I'm going to repeat that all the way across. 1 single crochet in 4, and then single crochet decrease all the way till you get to your last decrease. Okay, I'm coming to the end here. I did my last decrease, and I have 4 stitches that remain. Go ahead and just put 1 single crochet into those last 4 stitches, and that'll end row 23. And now you should have 64 stitches. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now what we're going to do is rows of single crochet back and forth. We're not going to do any more decreases on this part. So we did that last row was row 23, so starting row 24, 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in every stitch across until you get to the end of the row. And when you get to the end of the row, you still should have 68 stitches. And then you just want to chain 1 and turn and do another row of single crochet. So we're just going to be working rows of single crochet. We want to do it until we get to till we finish row 28. So I'm on row 24 now. So keep working rows of single crochet, 68 stitches at the end of each row, until you finish row 28, and then I'll meet back up with you. Okay, I just finished my 28th row total from the very top all the way down. Now I'm just going to tie off like that. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Look at it here. I know it don't look great right now. Now, in the end, we will get all these edges cleaned up nicely. They're not going to flip up on you. Everything is going to look good. But let's start on the sleeves right now. Okay, we'll go ahead and make the sleeves now. I already made one. You can see right here. Now, both sleeves are made the exact same. So when you get one done, you're just going to make the other one the same way. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start off. Okay, get your sleeve here where you can see it. Okay, you see, here's that little armpit area. I'm going to start in this stitch right here. Now, here is the chain 1 space. We're not going to put a stitch into that. We're going to start into the stitch next to it, just like there. So as you can see, here's the front of my work, here's the back of my work. Okay. Go ahead and start your yarn right there. Chain 1. Now we're going to go ahead and put a double crochet right back into that same stitch. And now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch. All the way around the sleeve. Just like that. So work 1 double all the way around the sleeve until you get over here to that next chain 1 space, and that's where I'll meet you. Okay, I've made it all the way around. Now do not put a stitch into that chain 1 space. Now what we're going to do is a couple double crochet decreases. Now you see there is a double crochet here kind of laying on its side. And then there's this stitch here. I'll show you. So there's a double crochet here laying on its side. And then there's a stitch here. One here. And then another double crochet laying on its side. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and go just right through that double crochet, just right in that hole of that double crochet that's laying on its side, and draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over again and go into this next hole that's right beside it, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through all 3. Now we're going to do that one more time over this stitch and this double crochet here that's laying on its side. So yarn over, go into that little stitch here, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again and go just right through that hole there that double crochet is. It's laying on its side kind of. Draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go through all 3, and then we're going to end with a slip stitch into our first double crochet, just like that. Now that's round 1 of the sleeve, and you should have a total of 36 stitches now. Now round 2, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet decrease over these first 2 stitches. So we're going to yarn over and go into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into and draw up a loop. Then we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook, then we're going to yarn over and go through all 3. Now I'm going to continue around, putting 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. Just like this, 1 double every stitch all the way around until you get to your last 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll meet you right over here, right before you get to your last 4 stitches. Okay, I've made it all the way around and I have 4 stitches left. You can see these 2 double crochet decreases and then these 2 stitches. Now we're going to decrease over these 2 stitches, double crochet decrease. So yarn over, go in, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. Again, yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. 3 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 3. Now we're going to do a double crochet decrease over these 2 double crochet decreases from the previous row. So we're going to yarn over again, go into the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go through all 3, in with a slip stitch into your first double crochet decrease, so your first stitch there, and that'll end round 2 of the sleeve, and now you should have 33 stitches. So now I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet back into the same stitch, and now I'm just going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. And I'm going to do that for 2 rounds. So I'm on round 3 right now. Round 3 and round 4 are just 1 double crochet in every stitch. When you make it back to the beginning, you just slip stitch into your first double crochet and start again. You should have 33 stitches at the end of each row. So I'm going to go ahead and work round 3 and round 4, the 1 double crochet in every stitch, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 4. Okay, I made it to the end of round 4 on the sleeve. Go ahead and end with the slip stitch into your first double crochet, 33 stitches. Now for round 5, we're going to decrease. So we're going to chain 1, and we want to put 1 double crochet into the first 5 stitches. So go right back into the same stitch and double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to double crochet decrease over the next 2. So we yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and go through all 3. Again, 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. Double crochet decrease over the next 2. Now we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until we reach our last 5 stitches. Okay, I have made it to my last 5 stitches, so I'm just going to, my last stitch was a decrease, so I'm going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet into the next 3. And then double crochet decrease over the last 2. Slip stitch into your first double crochet. That'll end round 5, and now you should have 28 stitches. So again, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to put 1 double crochet for round 6 every stitch around. So go ahead and double crochet in that first stitch, and 1 double crochet in every stitch. We're going to do this for round 6 and 7. So 2 rounds of 1 double crochet in every stitch, no decreasing. So round 6, I'm just going to do 1 double crochet all the way around to the beginning. I'll have 28 stitches, then I'll end in a slip stitch, and then I'll start again for round 7, 1 double crochet in every stitch, 28 stitches when you get to the end. So I'm going to go ahead and finish mine up round 6 and 7, and I will see you at the end of round 7. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 7. In with the slip stitch into your first double crochet, like that. 28 stitches still. Now we're going to do a round of decreases. So for round 8, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into the first 5 stitches. So go into that very first one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then double crochet decrease over the next 2, and that's kind of the repeat for this time around for round 8. 1 double crochet into the next 5, and then double crochet decrease over the next 2. So I'm just going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the beginning. 5 double crochets in a row, and then a double crochet decrease all the way back to your starting point. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 8. Your last stitch should have been a decrease. You want to go ahead and end with a slip stitch into your first double crochet, and now you'll have 24 stitches. So now I'm going to do some rounds of 1 double crochet in every stitch again. So you just chain 1, double crochet back into that very first stitch. Oops. And then we double crochet one double in every stitch all the way around. When you get back to the beginning, you just end in a slip stitch and start again with another round. So I'm on round 9. I want to do 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all going to be 1 double crochet in every stitch. So rounds 9 through 12, work 1 double crochet in every stitch. You should have 24 stitches at the end of every round, and I'm going to go ahead and finish mine, and I'll meet you back at the end of round 12. Okay, I made it to the end of round 12, and I had 24 stitches still, and I went ahead and slip stitched into my first double crochet. So now we're going to do another row of decreases for round 13. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do 1 double crochet into the first 4 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to do a double crochet decrease over the next 2. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around for round 13. 1 double crochet in the next 4, double crochet decrease over the next 2. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 13. Your last stitch should have been a decrease. Go ahead and end with a slip stitch into your first double crochet. Now you'll have 20 stitches. So we're going to chain 1, and for rounds 14, 15, 16, and 17, it's just 1 double crochet in every stitch, just kind of like we've been doing. So 1 double every stitch around. You'll still have 20 stitches at the end of every row. So rounds 14 through 17, 1 double in every stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 17. Okay, I have made it to the end of round 17, and I went ahead and ended with a slip stitch into my first double crochet, and I still have 20 stitches. So now I'm going to do 1 more row of decreases. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next 8 stitches. and then I will do a double crochet decrease over the next 2. Just like that, and then I'm going to repeat that. You'll be able to repeat that one more time. 1 double crochet in the next 8, and then you'll double crochet decrease over your last 2. Okay, made it to the end of round 18. My last stitch was a double crochet decrease. Go ahead and end with the slip stitch in your first double crochet, and now you'll have 18 stitches. So now what I'm going to do is some rows of single crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go right back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch around until I get back to the beginning. We're on round 19 now. Just like that. 1 single in every stitch. Okay, I've come to the end of round 19. And now what you want to do is put a stitch marker here, because we're just going to work in rounds. We're not going to slip stitch our rows together. So go ahead and put a stitch marker there. And we'll start on round 20. Just jump right over here to the first single crochet that you made. Not that chain 1, but the first single. And crochet in it. Single crochet. And now it's 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And I'm going to do rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. When I get back to my stitch marker, I still should have 18 stitches every round. I just move it up and continue working rounds of single crochet. And I want to do that until I get a total of 25 rounds. So we're on round 20 now. So just continue working rounds of single crochet until you get finished round 25. And I'll meet back up with you when I get finished mine up. Let's move your stitch marker up at the end of every row and start again. Okay, I've made it back around at the end of round 25. And I still have my 18 stitches. Now, I know it probably appears small to you, but that's how it's supposed to be. It'll stretch. It's supposed to be tight on your child's wrist, but it'll stretch out a bit. So don't worry about it looking small. And then we're going to go ahead and in with the slip stitch into the next stitch and tie that off. Take that stitch marker out. That stretches out, so don't worry about that being looking tight. It'll be fine. Okay, remember you want to do both sleeves just like that. So I got both my sleeves done on mine. Okay, now we got to do the hood next. So the hood's what comes next. So we'll go ahead and start on that. So get your work facing you just like this. Okay, we're going to start right here in this very first chain. So kind of go right into the top of that chain. Make sure you're not going into the top of this stitch. But make sure you're going into that chain. And that's where we're going to start our yarn. And then we're going to chain 1. So we're going to put 1 double crochet into the first 4 stitches. So our first one's going to be right back into that same stitch that we started into. So that's 1. The next one, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to do a double crochet decrease over the next 2. Just like that. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. 1 double into the next 4 stitches. And then a double crochet decrease over the next 2. Again, 1 double into the next 4. And double crochet decrease over the next 2. So you want to repeat that pattern all the way around the collar until you get back over here to the other side. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 1 of the hood. Now I just did 4 double crochets in a row, and if you look, you should have 2 stitches left. One of them's kind of tight because it's the beginning chain that we started in, but you want to go ahead and decrease over those last 2 stitches, and now you should have a total of 45 stitches. Just like that. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. Now no more decreasing. The hood is just going to consist of rows of double crochet. So go right back into that very first stitch, double crochet, and then double crochet in every single stitch until you get to the other side. And I'm just going to keep working back and forth rows of double crochet. You should have 45 stitches at the end of every row. So we're on row 2 now. You want to continue doing rows of double crochet until you get a total of 19 rows. And that's going to build the hood up. Just like that. So double crochet until you get over here to this side, chain 1 and turn, double crochet again, back to the other side, 45 stitches at the end of every row. We're on row 2 now, and you want to go ahead and continue to hit finish row 19, and then I'll meet back up with you. Okay, I got my 19 rows of the hood done. So now what we're going to do is sew it up to make it look like a hood. Now, have the front of your work facing you, like I have mine here. But we want to flip the hood backwards, like this. Don't tie off at the end of that last row. You want to flip it backwards like that, so the hood's inside out now. That way when you sew it up, and you flip it right side out, the seam will be on the inside. So, I just put my loop back on my hook. I didn't tie off or anything. What I'm going to do is chain 1. Okay. Now I'm going to go into the front loop on this very first stitch. Front loop only. And the back loop on this side over here. And I'm going to slip stitch. And I'm going to do the same all the way down. So I'm going to do the front loop only on this side. So I'm only going through that one loop on the front, and then on the opposite stitch over here, the back loop on that one. Slip stitch. Again, front loop only on this piece, or on this side. Back loop only on this one. Front loop only on this one. Back loop only on this one. And that's how I'm going to sew it up all the way down. Front loop on this piece, back loop on this piece. Front loop, back loop. So you want to go ahead and do this all the way down until you get to the end of your piece, or the end of your hood. Okay, once you make it all the way to the end and you can't go through anymore, go ahead and tie off. Clip your yarn. Now flip your hood right side out. And you got a nice clean seam at the top. So by only going through the front loop on one side and the back loop on the other, you made that nice kind of design at the top. And it looks really clean that way. I think so anyways. So there's that. Alright, so we're going to move on to the final step. Finally, huh? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to clean it all up. All these edges up, all around the hood, all the way down, and at the same time, we are going to make some buttonholes. Okay, so you got the front of your work facing you like this, and we're going to start right over here on this side, right down here in the corner. So go ahead and start your yarn right there. I have a lot of tails I have not hidden yet, so they're kind of just hanging around. Go ahead and chain one. Now you want to go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now we're going to work one single crochet up these single crochet rows here. One single crochet in each stitch. So kind of at the end of each row, you put a single crochet. Alright, now when you make it to here, these are the double crochets, the sides of the double crochets. Now, you want to try to put 2 single crochets to every double crochet. So right here is my first double, so I'm going to try to kind of wiggle right through it and put 2 single crochets through it. There's one. It will take a little time to get around on this first row, 2. Then I'm going to come to my next one. 1. Just do your best to kind of get 2 single crochets to every double. 2. It's not going to be perfect, and you probably won't end up with the same amount of stitches that I do, and that's just fine. You just try to get 2 single crochets to every double. You know, I probably miss some too, but that's just kind of how I go, how I evenly space out my stitches. I just try to put 2 singles to every double. Now I'm going to work this all the way up this side, all the way around the top of the hood, and back down the other side. Try my best to work 2 singles into every double. Don't worry, it's not going to be perfect. No one expects it to be. It's homemade. Made with love. Love in every stitch, right? So I'm going to continue doing this, working 2 singles, or trying my best to work 2 singles to every double crochet here along the side. And you can see how much cleaner that looks already. So I'm going to go all the way up this side. And I'm going to continue doing the 2 singles to every double all the way up the hood. All the way back down the other side of the hood. And all the way down the other piece. Until I get right over here to the other corner. So I will meet you. I'm going to continue actually to go up the hood. I'll meet you right here at the seam of the hood so we can kind of see what we need to do to go across that seam. Okay, when you make it to the seam up here on the top of your hood, just do your best to kind of put a single crochet kind of maybe in the hood seam. 2 of them if you can, like that. 1 on each side. Just like that. Doesn't have to be exact. And then just continue to try to put evenly space out your single crochets. Just keep trying to work 2 single crochets to every double. All the way down until you get down to the other corner. So I'm going to keep working the rest of the hood and all the way down until I get down to here. Okay, I have made it all the way down. And look at that. It's already starting to look a little bit better. It's all cleaned up. But now we're going to mark off some spaces for the buttonholes. Don't tie off here because we're going to turn and go back up. So just go ahead and set your hook down there. We're going to put the buttonholes on this side. So I got 5 stitch markers. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter how many stitches you have now. I mean, because all we did was we just tried to evenly space them out by putting 2 doubles or 2 singles into every double. So yours probably isn't going to be the same as mine. And that's fine. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you tried your best to get it as even as you could. So here's where we're going to put the buttonholes. There's going to be 5 of them. See this first row of double crochet. These are all single. The first row of double crochet. We're going to put stitch marker in 2 single crochets that are on this row right here. So I'm going to choose, excuse me, these 2 right here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just grab your stitch marker and go through both of those stitches. Just mark it off. And that's going to be our first buttonhole. Now we're going to skip 3 double crochet rows. So the whole row, 1, 2, 3, and in the next one, mark off 2 more. So here's this first row we marked off for 2 stitches. So we count over 4 rows. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th one, come up and find 2 single crochets that are right above it, and go ahead and put a stitch marker through those 2. Just like that. Again, skip 3 rows. So we did our stitch marker in this row, so 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th row, follow it up and find 2 stitches, the 2 single crochet that are right above it. Stitch marker there, between those 2. Next one, here's the row that we did the stitch marker, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And these 2 right here. Remember, it's just get the single crochets that are pretty close to being even with that row. I mean, they may not be exact, but that's fine. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th row, follow it up. And 2 single crochets that are on top of that row. Go ahead and put a stitch marker between those. Now, if you want to be real precise, you can count the stitches that are, or count the single crochets that are in between the stitch markers now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fine. I don't care that mine has, that one of them has 7. The last sweater I did, one of them only had 5. It's not going to be noticeable because they're all, I mean, they're all pretty much equal. So you got your buttonholes marked off. So now we're going to go ahead and start back up, chain 1, and turn our work. Now this is the row we're going to add some buttonholes to. So we're going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch till you get to your stitch marker here that's going through those 2 stitches. So go ahead and go into the first one, single crochet, and then 1 single crochet in every stitch up until your marker. Okay, now I'm at the stitch. You can see my stitch markers going through these 2 stitches here. So I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to skip those 2 stitches completely and go over to the next stitch and single crochet. And I'm going to single crochet 1 in every stitch until I get to my next marker. And right here is the stitch that has, it's going through both of those stitches. See it? Chain 2. skip both of those stitches, single crochet into the next one over here, and then again 1 single crochet in every stitch. Here I am again. There's my 2 stitches, chain 2, skip those 2 stitches that my marker is in, single crochet into the next, and single crochet into every stitch till you get to your next marker. Okay, right here, I'm going to chain 2, skip those 2 stitches, single crochet into the next. Got one more marker left here, so go ahead and single crochet up to it. Here's my 2 stitches that the marker's in, so I'm going to go ahead and chain 2, skip those 2 stitches, and single crochet into the next. Now you can pull all the markers out because we got our buttonholes made, so we ain't going to need them anymore. Okay, now all I'm going to do is put 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around until I get back to the other side. So all the way up the rest of this side, around the hood again, so all the way up this side, all the way around the hood again, and all the way back down this side until we get over here, back down to this point. 1 single crochet in every stitch to get back over to here. Okay, I've made it all the way back down the other side. So we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do it again. Now we're going to go 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and 1 single crochet in every stitch up this side. By putting these rows of single crochet, we're making a place to sew the buttons on this side too, to match up for the buttonholes on the other side. So, same as before, 1 single crochet in every stitch up the side, all the way around the hood, until you make it over here to your first buttonhole, and I will meet you right there, and I'll show you what to do when we get there. Okay, I'm coming to my first chain 2 space, my first buttonhole. So what I want to do is single crochet 2 single crochets right through it. So go right through the hole and put 2 single crochets in it, just like that. And then I'm going to continue putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to my next buttonhole. Right here, 2 single crochets right through it, and then 1 single crochet in every stitch till you get to your next buttonhole. Two single crochets right through it, and we're going to do it again. And again. Shoot through the hole, and 1 in every stitch now until you get to the end of the row. Okay. 1 more round. Now this time we are going to go around. We're going to start where we left off. We're going to go around the whole bottom, back around to this side, all, oh, sorry about that, all the way back up the side again, all the way down the hood again, all the way back down here until we get right back over here. So what we're going to do is just the last stitch that we just put a single crochet in, we're going to go ahead and put 3 more. So that'll be a total of 4 single crochets in that corner. And that's going to help the corner lay down a little bit better. And now I'm going to continue across the bottom, working 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get over to the other side to the next bottom corner. There's a knot there in my yarn earlier. I figured I could get it covered up. So remember, we're working across the bottom now. Okay, I have made it across the bottom there. See, I'm sorry for moving that camera. And I'm at my other corner now. So I'm going to put 4 single crochets into that corner. And continue working up the side, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. See how much neater that looks? Looking good. I can't wait to see pictures of your guys's. Okay, so I'm going to continue one more time all the way up this side, all the way around the hood, all the way down this side where we put our buttonholes, and I'll meet you right over here at the end where we put those 4 single crochets in. Okay, I have made it all the way around back to where I started. Now remember when we put 4 single crochets into this corner stitch? Single crochet into the first of the fourth one of those 4 and slip stitch into the second of the 4. Like that. And then we will tie that off. I can't find my scissors for some reason. And now I'm gonna take a second and go through and hide all my tails before I sew on the buttons. I'm pretty excited that it's finished. Can't wait to see Evelyn in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all of my tails hidden. Okay, I got all my tails hidden, and I got regular sewing thread and a regular needle, and I doubled it up and knotted it on the end just to sew on the buttons. Now, like I said in the beginning, Evelyn picked out her own buttons. This probably isn't what I would have picked out, but it's her sweater. She picked everything out for it. So you just sew your buttons on, just line them up with your buttonholes. Set them over here for a minute. So actually, I think it'll be easier just to start down here at the bottom. Let me turn my camera down. You guys probably don't even need me to show you this, but since we put a buttonhole here on this very first row of double crochet, that's where we'll sew our first button. On the see the very first row of double crochet here, but sew it over here on these rows of single crochet. So it's kind of like that. So here's my row of double crochet, but put it over here on the single crochet row. That way it lines up and it meets the buttonhole. And that's how we're going to do all of them. Just line it up. I don't really like these kind of buttons, but with the holes on the back. But just sew it on like you would a normal button until it's good and tight, not off your yarn or not off your thread, and sew on the next one once you get that one on. So remember when we were doing the buttonhole rows, we put one right here on this first row of double crochet, and then we counted 3, skipped 3, 1, 2, 3 rows, and on 4th row we put a buttonhole. So this will where it'll be follow that row up and sew on your next button right here on these rows of single crochet lined up with that row. So there's 3 rows of double crochet in between each button, and each one will line up over here when you go to button it. Alright, there it is. I am all finished. That's all there is to it to make these sweaters. So I got 2 of them down. One for Evelyn right here, and then here's Eli's. I think they turned out really good. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope you're able to follow along okay. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check in the description box. You'll find that automatic subscribe button. That way you'll always be notified when I put on another video. Also, don't forget to check out all my other tutorials. I have hundreds of them. So until next time, have a good day.